Hey, everybody. Welcome back to We Are the Batman. My name is Mike.
And this is Matthew.
So, things have happened. You guys have probably noticed at some point in the last 24 hours that a bunch of our episodes vamoosed from your apps. I put up a brief statement just giving a bullet point, less than a minute, of why. Things have changed since that happened. Because as always with situations like these major strikes, information is always fluid and always changing. I mean, just in the last 24 hours at the time that we're recording this, there's been conflicting reports about them sitting down at the table again. So we're gonna Matt and I are gonna just give a bit more of an not in depth, but just a more detailed explanation as to what's going on, what changed, and what we're doing going forward. Um, to sum up the summary, I got really uncomfortable about some language in the info from SAG about what does and does not constitute violating the strike or the spirit of the strike in terms of podcasters reaction and review content. As somebody that has aspirations to join SAG or the WGA someday in the future, I opted to err on the side of caution and pull back from some stuff and take some stuff down until we could get some clarity. And we were already in the process of setting up a backup plan for how to go forward. We had our nuclear option ready. We were ready to turn both keys and you know and do that. But some information's come out since then to where that's probably not going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's always difficult. This is where I push back. Is like a union's supposed to help people, and I appreciate that they are doing what they need to do to help their actors. But in doing so, in my personal opinion, I think they're starting to isolate people who are not part of the union or potentially would want to. So Mike was worried. I read the stuff and was like, bro, for you, because I know this is important to you, not trying to downplay SAG's importance, but I I would be more apathetic if I wasn't so lethargic. But but my point is that I was like, let me read this. I read it and I was like, dude, I think for now, let's pull it until we get clarification. Because I'm also one of those guys that when things go bad, they go bad harsh. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, let's pull it. Let's get clarification. And I think we have enough clarification that we are going to move forward. Those things will come, those couple episodes will come back. And luckily, this is not going to affect anything else.
Yeah, we pulled. I spoke to a mutual friend of ours who is in kind of the same realm circles of the internet as us in terms of the what this person does for a living, creating content focused around Hollywood, especially superhero stuff. Um, who is a SAG member, but is able to continue to put out content in a certain way. And in speaking with that person, we were assured that I was assured in more words than I'm going to use. Mike, who the hell are you? Like honestly, who the hell are you? They Mike do not care about you. They do not know who you are. You are not a grain of sand on a blip on a radar. Go do your podcast, dude. so um so that's where we're at. Is we're gonna get back into doing things. So originally this week's episode was meant to be our Blue Beetle review, and then we were like, maybe we I don't know. And now we're in a place where it's like, no, we're still gonna do the Blue Beetle review. We're just gonna go back to business as usual. Yeah, because ultimately at the end of the day, who am I? And I have aspirations to join SAG and WGA. Realistically, I know that with each passing day, those chances get smaller. So I love this show. I love doing this show with my friend Matt, and I want to continue doing this show with my friend Matt. So we're gonna do the show. So apologies for the confusion. Apologies for what the hell is going on? Why are things disappearing and coming back? If you're missing some episodes, just give it a day or two for everything to repopulate, and you should have it there. And we're back in business, and you never even knew we weren't. So
yeah,
it's
and it'll
beautiful.
be fine. And hopefully this will get resolved, and we don't have to pussyfoot around this kind of nonsense.
Well, and I mean, look, worst case scenario, ultimately, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? I
To
don't get
me,
to join a
nothing.
union out in Hollywood.
Yeah,
But okay, like
yeah,
that's in the grand scheme of life, not the worst thing that could happen. So,
yeah.
with that being
It'll be fine.
said, thank you guys for putting up with our bullshit, and enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
All right, today we are doing our Blue Beetle review. The day is finally here. Can't believe we live in a world now where a Blue Beetle movie has come out in theaters. When you consider this movie was originally supposed to hit HBO Max as alongside Batgirl when it was first announced. What a way things have changed since then. Suffice to say, in a lot of different ways. Blue Beetle is, of course, directed by. Apologies, I am gonna brutally mispronounce this name. Angel Manuel Soto. I'm assuming
Sounds good.
there's a little thing over the A in Angel, and I'm not sure, but
I'd like to say I could pronounce it better given that I'm half Mexican, but I don't think I can.
that's so funny. Then we've got starring. Is it Jolo? Is that how that's
Zolo.
pronounced? Huh?
Zolo. Zolo.
Zolo. Okay. Zolo. I'm going to put this on the big screen so I can actually read it. Starring.
Mariduena.
Thank you,
Mariduena.
Adriana Barraza, Damian Alcazar, Raul Max Trujillo, Susan Sarandon, and George Lopez. God bless Susan Sarandon for having a really basic name. Because there are some of you white actors out there, Taron Egerton, and Anson Mount, that your names are extra. This is the one of the final projects that was under construction under the previous DCEU, Warner Brothers DC heads. This, along with I think Aquaman and the Last Kingdom, are the last two shreds of the old guard. However, James Gunn has confirmed that this Blue Beetle is a part of his DCU. So, as kind of the de facto first entry into our future with the DCU, Matt, how did this one fare for you?
I thought it was really, really good. I was really entertained. There wasn't any strikingly obvious, stupid logical decisions. Everything made sense, followed through. There was because I think that's been the biggest problem I've had with a lot of the more recent DC films is like it just doesn't make any sense. Like
Mm,
Black Adam, no sense.
mm,
Like, did you just have these moments where you're like that doesn't track in any way, shape, or form? Someone did their homework on this, and everything tracks much better. Because I think for me, everything should track for the hero. The villains are there just get their asses whooped. I don't care if it
mhm,
tracks for the villains because some doesn't make sense for the main physical bad, but
mm,
ultimately, I thought like it all comes together. It's a well-paced story, well-written story. There's a lot of heart with the family. The special effects are on point. His costume looked phenomenal,
mm.
and I think a
I
lot of
can't
the
get over how good the costume looks, dude.
yes. Well, and I think too is like the decision to take him from El Paso, Texas, which is a shithole and would be not somatic.
Matthew lives in Texas. He's allowed to say that, folks.
And I have family there, and I keep telling them to move out of the desert, but whatever. To make this Palermo city, this made up city, so he has his own Gotham. Now you've got all the Blue Beetles in their own Gotham, their own city. I think is a perfect idea and the best way to represent this new world of these characters. And it may not be that he might have been made under the old guard, but I think I said it a long time ago. We don't know how long Gunn has been around. I'm willing to put money on the fact that there is some fingerprints of his on this project.
Well, if they are, it was invisible because he's not even credited, because James Gunn's not even credited in the movie, because this movie, because he's got no credits on this movie. So as far as officially goes, he had nothing to do with it. Now, as far as what went on behind the scenes, I think it's entirely possible he visited the set. Well, because I don't know, when did they actually start shooting this thing?
It
They
wasn't that
started.
long ago.
It was May of last year.
Yeah.
So think about that. They turned this thing out in a little over a year.
Mm-hmm.
That is impressive. That is honestly impressive to turn out a movie of this scale, of this caliber.
Well, this is when you're not overly using CGI, that kind of thing is possible.
Yeah, a lot of, because we saw the set photos that got quote unquote leaked, and that suit is like almost all real.
Yeah. I mean, when it goes on, it's digital, but once he's in it, it's real.
But even parts of that are probably just practical with just CGI to clean it up a little bit. Like that suit, we said it with every trailer reaction. I've already said it like twice in this recording. The Blue Beetle suit in this movie rocks. That is a character design that could have gone real weird, real fast, and they made it work. And they also did a really good job of making sure the suit didn't just turn Jaime into DC Iron Man.
Correct.
And could have done that.
And it doesn't look like any of the other suits from the DCFU, because most of those suits have been trash.
I liked the bat suit in BVS and Justice League.
Yeah.
The Flash. Michael Keaton's look great.
Yeah, but no, I think that when you're not relying so much on special effects, when you obviously have a house location, you have these cities locations, these building locations, it's your budget's lower, your shooting's faster, you're not having to take anything, and then post-production is so much quicker because you do those previs so that you know what's going to happen and how to shoot things. I mean, look at the first X-Men movie. The first X-Men movie, they finished filming that thing in like February, and it was out that summer. And it doesn't have a ton of special effects, but it had enough that, like, how the heck did they do that in 5 months?
I mean, honestly, I think Mystique transforming and probably stuff with Storm would have been the majority of it.
Storm, the laser blast, but when you use practical look, he does the Cyclops does his eye blast. Cool, that's digital, but they had lights on set that went red.
Yeah, that's why I think in talking in how CG is developed, like when you look at lightsabers in Star Wars the last few years, how it seems like they've gotten a lot better at choreographing those fights and doing the making those look a bit more, I don't want to say realistic, but just authentic, is because now you've got things like the those competition lightsabers that those companies make, where you can get the customized hilts and stuff like that are really cool, and they cost like $700.
Not all of them. I have 3.
I want one so bad, but they make those ones that people take to actual, like, the combat contests. It's like martial arts fighting, but with these lightsabers, and they can use those on set to help, so that when you're doing CGI glowing lights, like with Cyclops, it doesn't look quite as fake.
Yeah.
And Kevin McElwain is the one who supervised all the visual effects on this movie, who also worked on Aquaman and the Suicide Squad. So regardless of what you think of those movies, I mean, Aquaman's CGI, those undersea effects were stellar.
Yeah.
The tiny movements in the hair and things like that. So to have that guy work on every time that the Blue Beetle suit came on to Jaime, first of all, it looked painful.
Oh yeah.
And everything with like how his clothes, because it would disintegrate his clothes every time, and I love that joke in the movie is fantastic. Every time it did that and shredded his clothes, like it was done, it never looked like he was shrugging off some CG clothes. Like in She-Hulk, whenever her clothes were CG because of the transformation, the clothes don't look good in CGI.
Yeah.
Digital clothes walk the line of the uncanny valley. So the CGI work they did in this with him transforming was absolutely seamless and so well done.
And none of that works at all if you don't have great talent in place. And
Yeah.
aside, like even the dude who was the OMAC guy, I don't know why his name is escaping me.
Raul Max Trujillo.
Yeah, he wasn't terrible. That he just didn't have shit to do. You know what I mean?
I mean, the guy had 2 lines of dialogue the
Yeah,
whole movie.
yeah. But I think that dude playing Jaime Zolo, whatever his name is, fantastic. I don't watch Cobra Kai, so I've never
I
seen him before.
I watched the first few episodes and wasn't into it, but it wasn't a problem with anybody. I just wasn't. I'm not a Karate Kid guy,
Yeah,
so
same.
but he was so good,
Yeah.
and a lot of the other cast is getting a lot of talk. We're gonna talk about all of them, but I think not enough people are talking about Zol. He was so good as Jaime in this.
This is one of those performances where I'm like, I'm hoping this springboards him for multiple different reasons. Being half
Yeah,
Mexican, it'd be nice to see a Mexican lead of anything besides the
right.
jokester. But I think that would be. I mean, he's got the looks, he's got the build, he's young, but I thought he did great. I mean, I'm most of my this version of Blue Beetle, at least, most of my knowledge of him is from the Young Justice cartoon.
Yeah, it's surface. Mine is surface level at
Yeah,
best.
and but I thought he was fantastic. I
Yeah.
totally everything they were doing. You're right. The rest of the cast is on board. There was no problem. I have a soft spot for Susan Sarandon for reasons that we don't need to discuss on a
She
comic
is
book
still
podcast.
smoking hot. I'll say it. She is a stone cold fox, man. She is like when his sister has that line of there is something weirdly sexy about her confidence in herself. And I'm like, yeah, it ain't weird. It's
Yeah.
just sexy. It's just Susan Sarandon's a babe. Okay, to this day.
Look, when you bag Tim Robbins and Chris Sarandon in one lifetime, you know
Right?
you've done right. You know you got
Right?
it.
Man. And you know, it's very obvious that Zolo got this from Cobra Kai's massive success.
Yeah.
I think the lowest score any season of Cobra Kai has on Rotten Tomatoes is 98%. I think 2 or 3 of their seasons have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like people are nuts for that and specifically for him as Miguel in the show. He because the way Jaime is written and just kind of the way Jaime the character is, that is a character that can get annoying and stupid if it's not handled correctly with deft
Yeah.
hands. If you're going to be that kind of dumb, you've got to be charming as hell.
Yeah.
Zolo is oozing charisma. He is a charming young man, and I as much as you want to kind of root against him a little bit because he's such a dumbass, he's a dumbass with a heart of gold, and Zolo sells it, man.
Yeah. There's a couple moments there. I was like, I really feel like you should be happy with flying instead of freaking out. But maybe it's just because I'm not in there.
Yeah,
But no, I thought he was outstanding. I think the rest of the cast did an amazing job. There's
yeah.
nothing. I think everybody put it on the table. Nothing's left to like. I heard somebody make a comment that the mom doesn't get a lot to do, and I was like, it's fine. Like it's the first movie. Relax.
She doesn't, but what she does get to do is very good. When she has that hug with Jaime when he gets back on the ship towards the end is very good. I liked his. I thought everything with his, even George Lopez, everything with his family in this movie. Like I don't know if you watched Ms. Marvel.
Yes.
You did. All the stuff about Ms. Marvel that I loved about her family and community and culture stuff were also equally my favorite parts of Blue Beetle. So much that this movie clocks beginning to end as 2 hours 7 minutes, including credits.
Yeah.
It clips too. Like it
Yeah.
never feels rushed. It is paced beautifully. I would have loved an extra 10 minutes in this movie of just their community.
Yeah.
Because like my favorite stuff in Ms. Marvel was like when they went to the Eid celebration and you see the Illuminantes and the guy with the food truck and the vendors and all that, and you were learning things about this culture that a middle class white dude isn't going to know anything about. I would have loved more of that with their community there in Blue Beetle, because like at the end they all kind of come together and are helping them at the end when the house gets blown to shit and all that, and that was
Yeah.
nice. I loved that. I wanted more of that throughout the movie. Like in retrospect, when I got to the end, I was like, I wish we'd gotten to do more of this. Like seeing the like instead of them going out to dinner as like they go home and the communities have the whole little blocks having a barbecue because Jaime graduated from, and I had to confirm. I looked this up to confirm it because I thought so, from Gotham Law University.
It's the sweater he's wearing.
Very nice. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe I'd seen it wrong, and so I looked it up to be sure. So I would have liked more of that community and culture stuff. I liked what we got. I wanted more of it though, and
Well,
they had the wiggle room as far as timing goes. Even though again, I know this was originally made to go on HBO Max.
yeah.
So
No, I like that a lot. I'm usually the one, I said it earlier, and I've lightly discussed. I'm half Mexican,
yeah,
but my father. It sounds weird to say didn't raise me Mexican, but we did not get raised within his family. We always lived in a different city.
right.
There were certain things he did in his life that he felt he needed to do to kind of shed some of that off.
There wasn't a lot of like tradition and stuff like that.
Correct. I didn't grow up speaking Spanish. We didn't do that. When we went back to his family's house, he spoke it. But all that to say, like, there's some things where I look at this and go, well, that's not every Mexican family. But then I think about when I go home to my grandparents' house and go
Mhm.
like, no, all that stuff would happen.
Yeah, yeah. You just did, yeah. All that stuff does happen in a not even just a Latino family. Just didn't happen in yours
Yeah.
because
But
by all accounts, you didn't grow up in a traditional
yeah,
a Latin home. So
even though having that moment of like, man, my uncle did live in my room for about a year. That did
yeah,
happen. Okay, never mind.
yeah,
Or like stuff like that where you're just like, yeah. So there was a lot of that I really liked that I usually, because there's sometimes I watch shows and I'm like,
yeah.
all right, you're going too much with it, like too over the top. But I think they did a nice median. I liked the perspective they had. I think it really works, and I liked it. I would like to see the next Latino superhero just be Latino and not come from that to kind of
Mhm.
give the equal balance.
Well,
But
that's why you do this is you get a character who's got like Ms. Marvel. You get a character who's got where like that's part of her identity. That culture thing is part of her identity, both as a person and as a superhero. And so Blue Beetle kind of gives you an easy way into that with Jaime Reyes, especially because again, you know, Jaime Reyes, while it's probably the Blue Beetle people are most familiar with because of, his existence in the kids shows, he's still not wildly popular.
correct.
So if
Uh,
you, if you if you fudge the origin a little bit, you're not going to make as many people angry as if you fudge the origin of a Batman or a Superman.
Speaking of that, I had this moment. We're watching the movie, and Rosalind, my 5-year-old, like the
Mhm.
first time the lady, whatever her name is, the girl finds the beetle, the little scarab, and she
Yeah,
tells my wife, "Look, it's the blue beetle," and starts telling her things, and I'm like, "How the crap does she?" And I was like, "Batman Brave
Young
and the Bold."
Justice, Batman Brave and
No,
the Bold. Yeah,
She watched Batman Brave and the Bold and remembers him from that show. And it was just so funny that she was telling
yeah.
my wife about the character. And I was like, it's so interesting to think like, look at
Way to
that
be
girl
on
go.
the other end of that conversation. That's
Yeah.
unusual. Usually you're like, wow, is that what I sound like?
Yes, because I also had a moment when they first get into the Blue Beetle cave, which was
Yeah.
amazing. And
dope. We're gonna get into the sets and stuff in a minute, but the
yeah,
Blue Beetle game was dope as hell.
well, I remember I leaned over and I'm like, Dark Owl from Watchmen is based on Blue Beetle. I'll tell you guys later.
Owlman,
And
yeah. Oh yeah,
what did I say?
you said
Dark
Dark
Owl?
Owl,
I thought it was Owl. No, Owlman.
Night
Owlman,
Owl,
whatever his
Night
name.
Owl,
Night Owl. Night Owl. Whatever his
Night
name
Owl.
is.
Yeah,
Night
Night Owl.
Owl is based on Blue Beetle.
Owlman's from Crisis on Two Earths.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So then when we went to dinner, I explained the whole Charleston and But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I thought acting's on point. All the casting was there. Like, what I
the
would have
only
liked more out of OMAC, yes, but at the same time, like, you only have so much time.
Omac's not exactly a deep character anyway. He was deeper in the movie than he is in the comics. The only person in this movie I'm lukewarm about
Oh, I want to know if it's the same one.
is and I feel bad. I genuinely feel bad. Is Bruna Marquezine, who played Jenny,
Yes.
who played Ted's daughter. I feel like she was making a telenovela. I feel like she was making a TV movie from the 90s. I feel like she was making a movie that was going to go to streaming only, and then they got told halfway through, no, it's going to theaters, and she didn't change her acting style. I think she was fine. I think she was perfectly serviceable in this movie. There were a few times where I was like, that was the first take.
Yeah, there's one thing that I'm very curious about with this movie, and that's this. And I don't know because I didn't really follow it.
Mm-hmm.
What changed after they decided to go theatrical? Because from what I heard, they waited till halfway through production before they found out that's what they were going to do.
Yeah, I've been trying to do some research to try to figure out some timelines. From what I can figure out, it was either halfway into filming or it was like 6 months before filming. I haven't been able to quite figure out where I know when the announcement came, but I haven't been able to quite figure out where as far as
It has to be
production
halfway through, because I remember when the first pictures came out, we knew it was going to be on Max. Point is, was she cast before or after? Because
it's hard to say. You would assume they would have cast her before they started shooting, and they started shooting in the summer of 2022. So,
my point is like, did they get her? Then when they decide to go theatrical, they give them more money and they get better actors for other parts that haven't been filmed. Like, because I don't remember George Lopez being attached to this thing at all.
Okay. Oh, I found it. Okay. So they found out they were going to go theatrical in December of 20. Okay. It was announced in December of 2021 they were going theatrical instead of on HBO Max. So that was 6 months before they started shooting.
Okay, so they knew ahead of time.
Yeah. So, but honestly, and here's the thing, it was announced December of 2021. They probably knew before then, but waited to make that knowledge public.
Okay.
Because a month after that is when the director and his cinematographer started location scouting.
Okay.
I found it in the Wikipedia. Yeah. So
yeah. So here's my other. This is where I get reverse racist here.
Okay. Oh God. Okay.
Is this like there's zero reason for that character to be Latino?
Oh, Ted Kord's daughter.
Yeah. Zero reason. There's only one reason there's two reasons you do that. Number one is so you don't have to deal with the language barrier.
It's true.
Which as a production makes sense. Two, this is where I get annoyed is did you do it because you didn't want to have a mixed relationship in the movie?
I don't think it was that. Because because she's already the child of a mixed relationship, because in the picture Ted's a white guy.
Correct. I know, but in the comic he ain't. I don't even think he's married. Or Victoria is his wife, if memory serves correctly. I'll look, but that's my thing. Is that's my only kind of like.
Here's why I think it makes sense narratively as far as this movie goes, is just because of where he was living.
Yes,
he was living in an area with a high Mexican population. So, the numbers were in favor of him meeting meeting a Latina woman and marrying her. I I went to high school in a predominantly black neighborhood. It's honestly shocking that my first girlfriend wasn't black. Uh, most of the girls in my school were black.
Yeah.
Honestly, maybe it says something about me the fact that I didn't. I don't know, but no, I honestly that wasn't that big of a stretch for me to be totally fair. And it also does again it so I so knowing when this thing wasn't when it was decided it would go to Max or theaters instead of streaming. I wonder if they just I wonder where they were at as far as the script goes
Yeah.
with that then. So like was there all like is did they shoot an HBO Max script with a theater release budget? You know what I mean? Like was this the same script they were working off of when they were going to go streaming only, or was this like I don't know. It's hard to say. We live in a world now where our movie studios are putting out TV movies the same way they're putting out theatrical movies. So it's not something I'm used to dealing with. Um but all of this to say, I didn't think she was bad. There were just a few times where I was like, not my favorite line read, and it was usually from her. And I think sometimes the the girl playing Jenny was a little dramatic for my taste.
Well, and I think
Uh,
that's that whole like if the love interest isn't a major part of most of the story and this girl is not per se, I think
all right.
you end up with the let's just get the girl that looks the best and put her in the part and everybody else will make up for it. But that's my thing. I just kind of felt like it just in a production standpoint, it does make sense for her to be Latina, but I
Yeah.
just was like, you know,
Well, and
but
she's
I'll
had
take your explanation.
yeah. Well, and she's had it's not like she's new. She's just not in American media. She's worked a lot in a lot of Hispanic properties and things like that. You know, she comes from that style of acting. She's a television actress, a television and theater actress. Doesn't always translate the same. That it's acting for the small screen versus the big screen. There's enough of a difference that it can be noticeable. There are things you forgive with acting on TV that you might not forgive on the big screen.
Yeah.
But again, my biggest criticism of her is just that sometimes she wasn't my favorite person on screen. But also when you're sharing the screen with George Lopez and a minigun toting Nana, um, it's hard to
Yeah.
be anyone's favorite part of a scene when they're there. I want Nana's origin movie right now. I
Yeah.
want to know what Nana was doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I expected to walk out of this loving George Lopez more than anybody else. I walked out of this loving Nana.
Yeah. Nana was fantastic, unexpected. Like halfway through the movie, you're like, oh wait, Nana's actually going to do something. I like it. Very, very cool.
I almost wish that wasn't in the trailer
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
showed it in like the second or third trailer, and now seeing it in the movie, I'm like, oh, I wish this wasn't in the trailer. What a reveal this would have been.
Yeah. I thought George Lopez was good. He's always good.
Yeah.
Um,
He actually I was worried he would because like I love Michael Pena in the Ant-Man movies, even though he wasn't in the third one for some reason.
no.
And his shtick is incredible. I love
Yeah.
that. That's a character that if you're not careful, kind of like we were talking about with Jaime earlier, that's a character that can get annoying really easily. And George Lopez is enough of a big personality that it would have been really easy for him to steal scenes in a bad way, like take away from stuff or just feel out of place. I was genuinely impressed with how well George Lopez fit into this movie.
No,
I
I
was
thought
genuinely impressed.
no, he did a really good job. He wasn't over the top where I was like, he did enough of that borderline craziness to be entertaining. I liked his kind of weird, black helicopter conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought he was really good. The dad was outstanding.
Dude, okay, now I cried quite hard at certain scenes in this movie, but in full disclosure, I had gone to a funeral the day before
Yeah.
where I had given a eulogy. So I was already like at 50% HP. My shields were down.
Yeah.
So, but when it's that, but I also, I am also like, I'm my dad died years ago as well. So I was doomed no matter what.
Correct.
Because my dad died before Black Panther came out, and when he goes to the ancestral plane and sees his dad in Black Panther, I was already just like, ah!
Yeah.
And so when he's visiting his dad, hallucinating his dad, whatever, I honestly don't know what's happening in that scene, but I kind of don't care. I was sobbing in the theater. But it was also very well acted and very well written. The dad was great.
Yeah. All of it was great. I think, in a movie like this, especially we've seen this in the past like year, 2 years of comic book films. It's
Yeah.
so easy just to default to we've got a cool story, cool action. Let's just scrub the rest and not worry about it. To see this flip that around and really get into like we got to make all these characters good. We got to make you care about these characters so that the characters continue the story. I thought was fantastic.
They made sure that the story came first because ultimately it's a pretty simple movie. Like there's not too many moving pieces and parts as far as what this movie's trying to achieve. It's not trying to carry the weight of of a cinematic universe. It's not trying to put things in motion or set anything up. It's just trying to be a good Blue Beetle comic book come to life.
Yeah.
And it's not a super particularly deep plot. I dare say the story itself is fairly surface level, but it's just executed so goddamn well. It's like when somebody makes a grilled cheese sandwich that just blows your mind.
Yeah.
It's bread with butter and cheese, but something they did, it's just executed in just the right way, the right bread or the right cheese. I'm really hungry, by the way. I didn't eat lunch and I'm starving. We're recording this at 6 o'clock. Um, I, I, I'm very impressed with how much they pulled off while seemingly using quite little.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think it's just, yeah, I was very impressed. I was very worried going in. My complaints are nitpicks at
Yeah,
best. And
the music
I'm
was great. The music was excellent.
the going to kickstart my heart when the beetle climbs up and does all the farts and everything like that. Everything in this was
Yeah.
great.
We didn't talk about like the action. The action sequences are incredible.
Yes.
The especially again that suit, man, the stuff. And I played the Injustice video games, and Injustice 2 has Jaime Blue Beetle in it, and he's easily my favorite character to fight with in that game because the crazy stuff his moves do is great. And there's a lot of stuff in this movie where I'm like, that's from the game, like they recreated the game, like
Yeah.
that's cool. And then when he creates the anime Buster Sword,
Yeah.
which we knew from the first trailer, but seeing it in context on a big screen, I was just like, oh yeah, daddy like.
No, it was I thought all the action was really well done. I thought like it's so easy just to do the cheesy now I'm flying, now I can fight, now I can do this. I do like that they got beyond just martial arts. He did kind of do some capoeira kind of stuff, which is very Central America, South America kind of fighting style. So like stuff like that, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad we're getting into these different things. So yeah, I thought all of it was really cool. The Even when the family gets involved and they're in the action and the sister's using that power glove that gives her like the super punch and the shield. I mean, all of that stuff I thought was really cool. I thought they did a good enough job bringing in the previous Blue Beetle stuff and not to the point where they were like, oh, nothing can happen to him, and having him come in there and just really wreck stuff with his powers himself.
Mm. I'm I love that they they made Ted Cord seem like, because first of all, I love how much of a character Ted Cord is in this movie without actually being in this movie.
Yes.
It's really quite impressive how they did that. I love how they basically made Ted Cord's Blue Beetle out to be like Batman with a budget. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's Batman, but he has to track his finances on an Excel spreadsheet. Like he's because literally it's like there's no way he didn't make that glove out of an actual power glove.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way he didn't see a power glove on like a store at a Salvation Army and go, hey now. It just everything looked so just just good but not great. um and which is where because even Jaime says it's like, I mean it's cool because it, you know, it kind of looks like Batman stuff. And keep in mind Jaime just got done studying in Gotham, so he's probably seen whatever
Batman.
this version of Batman's going to look like. But just yeah, that because there was always that comparison of Ted Cord Blue Beetle to Batman. It's like people saw him as he was Batman with a sense of humor. He was Batman, you know, who would go outside during the day, but he's also Batman without the financial backing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is weird when you consider that he owns Cord Industries, but it's like he wasn't using the money right, I guess. I don't know. Or he didn't have the, I don't know. It's weird, but just yeah, he does seem like discount Batman, but it's almost on purpose.
Yeah, he's not quite the loner trying to change the world. He's doing it for the fun.
Yeah, he's rocking an iPhone SE while the rest of us are rocking iPhone 14s or something. You know,
Yeah.
he's got the he's got the old crappy beige computer, but it still connects to the internet, so he's not gonna.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else we can say, man. This movie's really good. From top down, direction, writing, acting, production design, music, um casting, performance, everything. I mean, just what a well-made movie. What an absolutely refreshing, heartwarming sigh of relief as far as DC films go, with man, like this is one that's just good.
Yeah.
It's not like Black Adam where everyone's going to be split. It's not going to be like The Flash where it's surrounded by controversy. This is just a good movie starring good dudes and good people just having a good time. And I'm not kidding when I say I cannot wait to watch Blue Beetle again.
Yes, this will be one of those I think is going to definitely be in rotation at the house with the kids. My 11-year-old, my 5-year-old had a blast with it. The only thing that my wife kind of had an issue, and I can kind of see, is like there's more language here than usually is in a superhero film.
A little bit.
And there was like 2 or 3 innuendo moments. Like he kisses a girl and then he holds his crotch when he gets up, and you're like, all right, we really didn't need you to do that.
In innuendo, George Lopez straight up refers to his chorizo when the suit goes away and he's laying there naked. I laughed so hard.
Yeah. Oh, I was laughing.
I thought I was gonna throw up. I laughed so hard.
I didn't need to see your huevos. Oh, yeah, wow.
I was dead. I'm so glad I finished my popcorn by that point. I was done.
Yeah. So that was the only, and I'm not as big of a deal. I don't really think about that as much, but there is a point where you're like, yeah, I don't want my daughter to. So hey, his huevos were showing. Yeah,
I get it. It's fair.
Yeah.
But there's also not a ton of that.
There's not a ton, and there's not like. I think it pushed it farther than most Marvel movies do, because I think the difference is this. Is what I said.
Yeah.
Iron Man curses. Thor and Captain America don't.
Yeah.
Clint Barton very rarely will drop something. So
Yeah.
you have like, because it's a group. So the fact that like everybody in his family was cursing was kind of a little weird. And it wasn't shit, but it was like, GD and this. You're just like, okay, I get it. But it was just like,
PG-13, go nuts. But also, I will say, like, of the recent DC flair that has come to theaters, I think, Shazam 2 notwithstanding, this is probably the most family friendly movie DC has put out in a bit. When
Yeah.
you
Oh, definitely.
between Black Adam, the Suicide Squad, the Snyder Cut, and BVS, and the Flash. I mean, even Wonder Woman 84. It's like DC has been like, I know it's a joke, but DC movies have been known for being a bit bleaker, and there's nothing wrong with that because Marvel movies are the exact opposite. This was a DC movie that felt like, are we sure this isn't a Marvel movie?
Yeah,
we're sure.
Definitely.
Okay, not judging. It's just okay. Good for DC. All right. I just, man, yeah. They knew what they. I want to say they knew what they were doing when they decided to put this movie in theaters instead of on Max. That the time will tell as far as the box office goes.
Bro,
but
Elemental slowly has become a profitable movie.
I know,
If that can do it, this could do it.
I know. And I also understand this movie has a lot of things working against it as far as financial success goes. We're in the middle of two very massive strikes. There was a massive hurricane going on in California, over off the coast of California at the time, which the area it was hitting had a very heavy, has a very heavy Hispanic population. So I'm sure a lot of those families that would have gone to see this probably couldn't. Plus, they got hit with an earthquake in the middle of a hurricane.
Yeah.
At that point, you move. You're like, clearly, I shouldn't be living here. But so there's a lot, and also again, when you look at this year, when you look at everything that's come out this year,
yeah,
we had Black Adam, Shazam 2, and The Flash.
Yeah.
So, or no, I'm sorry, Shazam was last year, wasn't it? Or Black Adam.
Black Adam was last year. Shazam 2 is this year. Flash is this year. Yeah, there's a plenty to go why people aren't happy.
Yeah, because people were not big on Black Adam. They weren't big on Shazam, and they were mixed on The Flash for a lot of reasons. So unfortunately, Blue Beetle's probably going to be a bit of a word of mouth sacrificial lamb, where I'm hoping word of mouth travels enough that people go see this movie. As far as it being a big financial success, it's probably going to be the one that they'll be lucky to break even on, because it had a budget of only $104 million, which is, I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not much more than Deadpool had.
It's not a lot for a comic book movie.
It's not a lot for a comic book movie, especially one that is on its grandest, because there are some locations they shot on for this thing, and for how good it looks. So I'll be really curious, but I'm hoping the word of mouth on this one is good enough that it sees a big return on, as far as people who watch it on repeat on streaming, but also like with whatever DC movie comes next, as long as it's good, I hope we see a continued rise, a continued increase in how successful and well received these movies are, as we, now is the time. Now we're getting into that time where James Gunn is going to have to start putting up or shutting up.
Yeah. And speaking of James Gunn, he also was not credited for his writing on Avengers Endgame. So just because you do it doesn't mean you're credited.
But that's where producer credits come in.
He's not listed as a producer either.
At all?
He's not listed
on Endgame?
On Endgame.
Really?
Really? I looked everywhere. He's not listed. I'll check again. My point
we're doing this on the show. We're not ending the show until we get to the bottom of this.
I'm just saying, he is not listed according to IMDb. He was not listed under writers, which is the big thing that the Russos were very open about. He came in and rewrote the scenes for the Guardians of the Galaxy.
It must not have been enough then. Maybe, that's something I didn't take into account. Maybe it just wasn't enough to get credit, because that's what happened to
you are right. He is one of 15 producers on the movie.
I was gonna say, I know I saw his name pop up in the credits.
Okay.
I'm not crazy.
That's
okay.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's probably what that's like an Edward Norton Incredible Hulk situation, where it's like he didn't write enough to be credited as a writer.
Well, and all those directors, Jon Favreau's listed as executive producer.
He's been listed as a producer since Iron Man, since the first Iron Man.
My point is,
anyway,
all that to say, movie's great. Wouldn't be surprised if he was a part of it. He probably wasn't, but we'll have to see. And
Yeah. In terms of timing, I don't think he was. I feel like probably not. But suffice to say, we've only got one other movie left in the can from the old guard, and that's Aquaman 2, which I still don't think is ever actually coming out. So
I'm leaning more towards that now.
yeah. So, you know, we're running out of excuses for James Gunn had nothing to do with this. Now it's going to start getting into, okay, James, now everything's on you. But Blue Beetle rocks. If you have not seen it, I highly encourage you check it out. If you have seen it, see it again. It's a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to watching it again, and this was a much needed shot of hope for DC films.
Yes.
That I very much needed.
Yes, and I'm hoping that this does. I hope it gets legs. I hope we see more of this guy. He deserves it, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Me too. And so that is going to do it for us this week on We Are the Batman. As always, we'd love to know what you guys think. So make sure you let us know over on Twitter or X or whatever it's called this week. Who knows? You can find us there at We Are the Batman. You can find me on there at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me there as Mr. J Ninja.
That is going to do it this week for We Are the Batman. We'll see you guys again next time. Same bat time, same bat podcast channel.
Bye-bye.